Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're going to dive into a concept that is seriously changing the game for educators who want to create their own digital learning tools, even if they've never, ever written a single line of code. It's called vibe coding, and it's all about putting some pretty incredible creative power right back into the hands of teachers. So where does this term even come from? Well, it was coined by Andrej Karpathy, who you might know as one of the founding members of OpenAI. And what he's getting at here is this amazing idea of programming by feel, by description, really just by the vibes. It's about focusing on what you want to create, not getting bogged down in all the tiny technical details. So what is it, really? To put it simply, vibe coding is basically you using an AI like ChatGPT or Gemini as your own personal programmer. You just describe the interactive tool you're picturing in your head, maybe a game, a quiz, a simulation, and the AI goes and generates all the code you need. The key here, and this is crucial, is that you don't need to know the programming language. You just need to know your teaching goal. And you can probably already see how this just opens up a whole new world for educators, right? All of a sudden, the power to build custom digital learning experiences isn't locked away behind years of computer science degrees. You can literally go from a teaching idea to a working tool in a matter of minutes.
I mean, think about it. For years, we've had to rely on whatever edtech companies gave us, and some of it is great, but it's often a one-size-fits-all solution. Vibe coding means you can build a tool that is perfectly tailored to your lesson plan, for your students. You're the one in the driver's seat.
So how does this actually work in practice? Well, it's a surprisingly simple four-step process. First, you figure out your goal. What do you want your students to learn? Second, you describe that activity to the AI, just like you're talking to a person. Third, you tell it what you want at the end. Something like an interactive web element in HTML works great. And finally, you just copy the code it spits out and paste it right into your school's LMS, like Canvas or Moodle. And that's it. That's the whole shebang.
And listen, this isn't just some theory. Educators are already out there building some amazing things with this. You could have an interactive card game for practicing verb conjugations. Or how about a simple Pac-Man style game where you have to chomp on the right answers to multiplication problems? You could even create a chatbot for students to practice tough conversations or build interactive charts that make scientific data come to life. And on top of all that, this method is incredibly efficient. To put a number on it, studies are showing that professional developers can get their tasks done up to 55% faster when they use AI to help them. For an educator, that means way less time spent building and more time actually using these powerful custom tools in your classroom. But of course, with any powerful new technology, we have to be smart about it. This isn't some magic wand, and there are some very real risks and challenges we need to think about. They really fall into two main categories.
So yeah, the risks really break down into two major camps. On one side, you have the technical stuff, the code itself. And on the other, and this is arguably more important for us, are the educational and institutional risks. So on the technical side, the code and AI writes can sometimes be a bit messy, maybe a little unstable, or even have security holes. And if you have no idea how it works, fixing it is, well, it's pretty much impossible. But it's the educational risks where we really need to be careful. Student data privacy is a huge one. Are we accidentally creating a tool that requires students to sign up for a Google account? And are we just creating this sort of wild west of unvetted apps inside our own schools?
Okay, so knowing all those risks, how can we actually start to play around with this in a way that's both safe and effective? Well, the good news is there's a clear, step-by-step path you can follow to do exactly that. I like to think of this as a kind of safety ladder. You always start on the lowest, safest rung. That means generating a simple, self-contained HTML file. It's not connected to anything else, and you can embed it right in your LMS. Once you're comfortable, maybe you move up a rung and share your code on a site like GitHub. From there, you could host it on its own website, and then, at the top of the ladder, you're partnering with your school's IT team to get it officially reviewed and hosted.
That first step is absolutely key, because it's completely safe. Just think of a simple HTML element as a digital worksheet. It's static, it doesn't collect student names, it doesn't track scores, it doesn't send any personal data anywhere. It's the perfect little sandbox to start experimenting in without any risk.
And this brings us to what I think is the most important point in all of this. Because while the technology is incredible, it actually makes the expert in the room, that's you, the educator, more essential than ever before. Look, an AI can spit out code all day long, but you know what it can't do? It can't understand your students. It has no idea how to define a meaningful learning objective. It has zero concept of pedagogy or what makes a lesson truly click for someone. That is, and always will be, the human part of the equation. Your job now is to be the architect of the whole experience. You're the one defining the goal. You design the interaction. You make sure the content is spot on. You use your unique creativity to make something that isn't just another boring generic quiz. And, most importantly, you're the one who evaluates if the thing actually helped your students learn. The AI is the hammer, but you are absolutely the carpenter.
So, here's the bottom line. Far from making teachers obsolete, these tools actually make real pedagogical expertise more critical than it's ever been. The skill to tell the difference between a flashy gimmick and a genuinely powerful learning tool, that's a skill only a real educator has.
And so that leaves us with one last big question to think about. As AI gets better and better at automating the how to build something, how to code something, it forces us to double down on our uniquely human job, teaching the why. Why does this matter? Why is this important? Those are questions a machine will never be able to answer. And they're right at the very heart of what it means to teach. Thanks so much for joining me.